guys, Penguin challenged me to summarize Reaper as fast as possible. So here I am, and I can actually summarize it in one word. Pain. Haha, just kidding. But not really though. All right, Reaper, super fast. Are you ready? We start out with the Nightbringer, vengeful djinn extraordinaire. He's looking at a weapon called the Star, remembering his long-dead wife and children, and we learn that there's only one piece left before the Star is complete, and he can use it to free his imprisoned brethren from a grove of trees in the waiting place. Back in the waiting place, Elias is supposed to be learning how to pass ghosts from Shiva and how to harness the magic of Moth, the magic at the heart of the waiting place, but instead he ditches his lessons to join Laia and her brother Darn on a mission, only to find himself facing the Blood Shrike, formerly known as Helene Aquila. The Shrike is planning to take Elias to the martial capital because she's under orders from evil Emperor Marcus to do so. But before she can, the magic of the waiting place, Moth, drags Elias back to within its borders. Laia escapes, and the Blood Shrike returns to Antium empty-handed. Once there, Marcus, who is none too pleased about her failure to bring back Elias, assigns her to go to the southern city of Navium, where Commandant Caris Futuria appears to be up to no good. Marcus threatens his own wife and the Blood Shrike's little sister, Livia, because he sucks. But Livia, it turns out, is pregnant with Marcus's baby, so if she and the Blood Shrike can take out the Commandant and Marcus, their two biggest enemies will be gone, and they can safely put Livia's son on the throne and act as regents. Perfect plan. What could go wrong? Meanwhile, the waiting place, the Nightbringer attacks and kills Shiva. But before she dies, she tells Laia to seek out someone called the Beekeeper in Adisa, and she speaks prophecy that is pretty doom and gloom for our gang. Laia and Darn decide to go to Adisa, and she has to say goodbye to Elias, leaving him behind in the waiting place. Haha, evil writer. Elias, still reeling from Shiva's loss, is struggling to deal with the ghosts. He eventually realizes that the spirits are trying to escape the waiting place and wreak havoc in the human world. Lovely. A few manage to escape, and Elias has to track them down. But while he's doing that, his house gets burned down by sneaky efforts in service to the djinn. Without his house, he has no protection from the djinn. They use their still formidable power to mess with his mind in the worst way. He gets to see the Blood Shrike, but he can't help her. He appears in Laia's room and shares an intimate moment with her, but she thinks it's just a dream. He finally confronts the djinn, and he discovers their abandoned city and learns their very sad history. The Blood Shrike gets to Navium and realizes that the Commandant is up to no good. There's an entire fleet of Karkan barbarians off the coast of Antium, and she's doing nothing about it. The Karkans attack, and it's up to the Blood Shrike to both defend the city and stop the Commandant's machinations. Along the way, she catches up with Queen Victorious, Elias's intrepid grandfather, and almost dies a few times, and actually meets the Nightbringer, who helps her out. She's able to both defeat and imprison the Commandant just in time for her to learn that her sister Livia has been poisoned. The Blood Shrike heads back to Antium. Laia and Darn, meanwhile, have reached Adisa, where they are promptly imprisoned, but have no fear, they are freed by a guy called Musa, also known as the Beekeeper. He ropes Laia into helping the scholars' resistance in the city, while she works on deciphering Shiva's prophecy enough to learn something about how to stop the Nightbringer from completing the star. Eventually, she gets enough information from a book in Adisa's great library to figure out that the last piece of star is a ring belonging to the Blood Shrike, who wants to kill Laia. Laia leaves her brother behind and heads to Antium to get the ring. But on the way there, she learns something shocking about her family, namely that her mother, Mira of Sarah, is still alive, and that she was enslaved to the Commandant for years. That's right, Laia's mother is none other than the scar-faced cook, and shortly after learning she's alive, Laia comes face to face with her. They make an uneasy peace and travel to Antium together. Elias, meanwhile, has a major disaster on his hands. Because he wasn't able to pass enough ghosts, they've torn through the wall of the waiting place and escaped. They are tearing a violent, bloody path through the world, and Elias is the only one who can stop them. He does, but at a great cost. If he wants to control the ghosts, he needs the magic of Moth, the power at the heart of the waiting place. But Moth won't give Elias any magic until he lets go of his humanity. Reluctantly, Elias begins to do so, putting the ghosts above his friends, his family, even the Blood Shrike and Laia. Back in Antium, the Bloodstrike manages to save her sister, but shortly thereafter, a force of Karkans attacks the city. They use some evil magic to make their forces nearly unstoppable, and very soon, Antium is in dire straits. It turns out that Karis Vituria allied herself with the Karkans and betrayed the city because she wants to be Empress, and also she's horrible. In the middle of all this, of course, because I'm evil, Livia, the Shrike sister, goes into labor. By this point, though, Laia has arrived, so no worries, she delivers Livia's baby, and she manages to get the Bloodstrike's ring. So far, so good. But then the Nightbringer appears, and is like, you fool! The ring isn't the last piece of the star, you failed! Laia is heartbroken, and to add insult to injury, Elias appears and is horrible to her, proving to Moth that he's ready to let go of his humanity, and proving to Laia that guys are the worst. Laia and her mother escape the city along with thousands of other scholars. The Bloodstrike and her men make a last stand to protect thousands of civilians as they escape. At the Bloodstrike's weakest moment, she cries out for aid and the Nightbringer appears. He offers to help her but demands her mask in return. Turns out that that's the last piece of the star. It's in the Bloodstrike's mask all along. She rips it off her face and gives it to him, and he disappears. Just when she thinks she's dead, Laia and Cook, aka Laia's mom, appear and save her. But alas, there's a cost. Laia's mom stays behind to cover her daughter's retreat and is killed by the Karkans. Okay, are you still with me? We're almost to the end. Laia and the Bloodstrike make it to Delphinium, a safe city, along with Harper, Livia, and the baby, Zach. Harper reveals that he has feelings for the Bloodstrike, feelings that are totally mutual. But of course the Shrike denies them because she does not have her priorities straight. The Shrike and Laia enter an alliance and Livia becomes regent to the throne. One of Livia's first acts is to free all of the scholar slaves. Far to the south, though, Karis has declared herself Empress, and she is not going to rest until all of her enemies, especially the Bloodstrike and her nephew, are dead. Laia, meanwhile, seeks out Elias, hoping that maybe she was mistaken, maybe he was just having a bad day. But Elias has completely turned, giving himself fully to Moth and telling Laia that she should move on because she means nothing to him. She is heartbroken and angry, and to be honest, I think if she wasn't so shocked, she probably would have punched him. Well, there's always Sky Beyond the Storm for that. Elias goes back into the forest and senses an intruder. It's the Nightbringer, and he's there to free his imprisoned kin. We learned that long ago his name used to be Meher-Ya, which means beloved. The Nightbringer, aka Meher-Ya, aka Prince of Evil, frees his brethren and vows to wreak bloody hell upon the world of humans. And that's the end. Now you're all caught up just in time for A Sky Beyond the Storm.